This guy looks normal, but he is a professional killer. This time his opponent is not an ordinary person. He is a Japanese yakuza named Kyoto. It turns out that the two are representatives of two gangs, and Gi-jun is the trump card for Ji-won's side. The battle between the strong begins. The two sides attack each other. At first, Kyoto can still fight back, but when Gi-jun finds his weak point, he can only endure. Gi-jun throws a hook punch to his opponent's ribs, which is the final knockout, causing Kyoto to fall to the floor. Ji-won is extremely satisfied. On the contrary, the yakuza is clearly angry. The yakuza's juniors around the yakuza also start pulling out knives towards Gi-jun, but Gi-jun has never been afraid of anyone. As a result, the entire Japanese yakuza gang was completely wiped out in Korea. However, Gi-jun was also seriously injured. His leg tendon was severed, forcing him to live a reclusive life in the forest. 10 years later, the Korean gang has developed into the Ji-won group. Chairman Ji-won still remembers Gi-jun's contributions, so he appointed Gi-seok, Gi-jun's younger brother, to the position of CEO of the group. However, at this time, a new force has emerged in Korea, the Bongsun group, headed by Chairman Gu. Chairman Gu is also a longtime friend of Ji-won. Therefore, the two sides have never had any conflicts. However, Chairman Gu's son, Jun-mo, is a spoiled brat. Jun-mo hired a group of Japanese thugs to assault a manager of the Ji-won group. After discovering that Chairman Gu had to meet Ji-won to apologize to Ji-won on behalf of his son, luckily, the manager was just a nobody, so Ji-won could completely ignore him. But Chairman Gu still had another thing to ask Ji-won, which was to help him chase the yakuza back to the country. Chairman Gu could not come out directly because he was afraid that his son would lose face. Ji-won did not want to worry about other people's family matters, but Chairman Gu took out some territories and promised to give them to Ji-won when the job was done. Finally, Ji-won decided to compromise. After that, Ji-won returned to the Ji-won group and handed over this important task to Gi-seok. Because Ji-won was also old, he wanted to transfer the management of the group to Gi-seok. This task was considered the final test. Gi-seok agreed, but was not satisfied because he was fed up with the killings of the Ji-won group. On the way to meet Jun-mo, Gi-seok asked his subordinate what you would do if you did not become a gangster. The subordinate did not understand what Gi-seok meant, and Gi-seok himself did not know where he could go if he left the Ji-won group. Later, Gi-seok went to Jun-mo. He didn't even greet the host and directly chased the Japanese thugs back to their country. Jun-mo felt that his power was being disrupted. Gi-seok didn't care. He was just solving the problems Jun-mo created. Jun-mo thought that Gi-seok was just an ordinary person. If it weren't for his brother, Gi-seok wouldn't even be noticed by the boss. Jun-mo sent his regards to Gi-jun to ask if the leg was better. It turned out that it was Chairman Gu who had cut Gi-jun's tendons. After the Great War that year, the yakuza still hadn't let it go. They even called their comrades in Japan to fly to Korea. In order to make peace, Ji-won sent Gi-jun to take the beating. Thanks to that, the yakuza agreed to return. That year, Chairman Gu was the one who helped Chairman Ji-won negotiate with the yakuza. Thanks to that, Chairman Ji-won was given the territory, and his career also developed to the peak. Because of that, the hatred in Gi-seok's heart flared up even more fiercely. Immediately after that, he stepped forward and slapped Jun-mo in the face. While the bodyguards were about to rush in, Gi-seok's subordinates immediately intervened to stop them. At that time, Gi-seok affirmed that Gi-jun was not someone Jun-mo could casually mention. According to Gi-seok, if Jun-mo could not solve the problem himself, he would deal with the one who caused it. Before leaving, Gi-seok declared that this was my final warning and asked Jun-mo to take care of it himself. While Gi-seok walked away, Jun-mo angrily watched. Jun-mo secretly resolved that he would not let himself suffer. Not long after that, in the evening, Gi-seok went up the mountain to look for his brother. Recently, Gi-jun lived quite comfortably. Although Gi-seok also longed for such a life, he did not dare to say it. Gi-jun had never asked how his brother was doing. Even though they were brothers, they both kept many things in their hearts. So after a while, Gi-seok quietly left. As soon as he realized that something was wrong with his younger brother, Gi-jun chased after and asked. Only then did Gi-seok gently reply that he was fine to reassure his brother. Not long after, Gi-seok returned home to continue working. During that time, he suddenly noticed the lights flickering and immediately went down to the basement to check. It turned out to be just a familiar stray cat. It often comes here. Immediately after that, when the cat suddenly turned its head, Gi-seok immediately realized that someone was ambushing him. He reacted quickly and easily defeated the assassin. Then Gi-seok asked him who hired him. He shook his head. Perhaps he didn't know either. When Gi-seok told him to retreat, he smiled again, because at that time, more of his accomplices appeared around Gi-seok. At this time, Gi-seok was forced to take action. If his brother's the top assassin in Korea, then he's just as lethal. Immediately after that, he quickly took down the entire group of assassins, leaving only the original one. Although this guy still bravely rushed forward with a knife, Gi-seok easily controlled him. The tip of the knife almost touched his eye, but in the end, Gi-seok decided to spare him one more time. However, soon after, Gi-seok had to pay the price for his leniency. The assassin suddenly stabbed Gi-seok, causing him to collapse and pass away. The next morning, Gi-jun received news that his younger brother had died, which shocked him. The Gi-won group quickly held a grand funeral for Gi-seok. They also invited many powerful figures in the underworld. Among them were Chairman Gu and his son. At the funeral, Junmo knelt before Gi-seok's tablet and smiled. Junmo thought that death was what Gi-seok deserved. Junmo then made provocative remarks to Gi-seok's subordinates. Junmo asked why he didn't know how to protect his master. Gi-seok's subordinates immediately felt that Gi-seok's death was related to Junmo. He couldn't hide his anger. Outside, Gi-won Group's manager Choi approached a curly-haired man who was currently Chairman Gu's subordinate. This man used to be a member of Gi-won Group but betrayed his colleagues to be accepted by Chairman Gu. At that time, manager Choi suspected that he had betrayed Gi-seok again. However, the curly-haired man immediately denied that he knew anything. At that moment, people from the prosecutor's office appeared. He immediately pointed at them and told manager Choi to ask them for more information. Leading the group of prosecutors was Gum-seon, the eldest son of Chairman Ji-woon. However, there was a difference in their stance. At that time, manager Choi stepped forward to block Gum-seon's way and advised him to go home and rest. At this time, manager Choi understood that Gum-seon did not simply come to pay his respects. Gum-seon also came to investigate Gi-seok's death. When Gum-seon expressed his desire to meet his father, manager Choi remained steadfast and did not allow it. Immediately after that, Gi-jun appeared. He was the one who had contributed greatly to the development of the Gi-won Group to what it is today. Therefore, manager Choi showed his respect and immediately ordered his juniors to bow respectfully to Gi-jun. At this time, Gi-jun only wanted to see his younger brother one last time. Immediately after that, manager Choi took Gi-jun to the morgue. Here, manager Choi announced that Gi-seok had a collision with a group of thugs. However, with his experience, Gi-jun immediately realized that this was not simply an accident. Immediately after that, Gi-jun went to meet Chairman Ji-woon. Even though he had left the underworld for many years, Gi-jun still bowed respectfully as before. Chairman Gu was a bit surprised by Gi-jun's appearance because he had promised never to return. However, since this was his younger brother's funeral, Gi-jun hoped that Chairman Gu could sympathize. Chairman Ji-woon also could not hide his sadness at Gi-seok's death. At that time, Gi-jun repeated the promise he made 10 years ago that he would live as if he were dead. In return, Chairman Ji-woon had to ensure Gi-seok's safety. Gi-jun had kept his promise for the past 10 years, but this time, Chairman Ji-woon could not do it. At that time, Gi-jun asked in a serious voice if there was anything he did not know. However, both Chairman Ji-woon and Chairman Gu remained silent. Not hearing the answer, Gi-jun understood that he would not receive any explanation. Gi-jun bowed his head and asked for permission to leave. Immediately after that, Chairman Ji-woon felt remorseful, so he stood up and chased after. But Gi-jun had disappeared without a trace. A while after Gi-jun left, Gi-seok's subordinate came to see him. This person introduced himself as Hae-beom, who used to be Gi-seok's trusted junior. Because Gi-jun and his younger brother had no relatives left, while Gi-jun could not appear in public for too long, Hae-beom stood up as the family representative. He promised to help take care of Gi-seok's funeral. In response, Gi-jun only said thank you and left. Soon after, Gi-jun went to Gi-seok's house to know more about his younger brother's death. However, besides a photo taken while camping, Gi-jun only found a birthday present that Gi-seok had prepared for him. That moment made Gi-jun extremely heartbroken because Gi-seok no longer had the chance to personally give that gift to Gi-jun. After that, Gi-jun quietly put on the shirt that his younger brother had prepared. Then he left the house in silence. The next morning, Gi-jun went to the police station to request to meet the suspect who killed his younger brother. However, the police refused on the grounds that the victim's family was not allowed to contact the suspect before the trial. However, the situation quickly changed when Gi-jun realized that the investigator in charge of the case was an old acquaintance. It turned out that this person used to work in the underground. Gi-jun only said a few words and surprised police. Immediately after, the suspect named Hui-chan was taken to a private interrogation room. He looked bewildered when he saw Gi-jun. Without further ado, Gi-jun asked who had leaked Gi-seok's home address. In just a moment, Hui-chan realized that the person sitting opposite him was Gi-seok's older brother. He pretended to bow his head in apology and then suddenly smiled provocatively. However, Gi-jun remained calm. Gi-jun told Hui-chan that if I couldn't get an answer from you, I would go to your friends, then your relatives. Hui-chan was not afraid at all in the face of such threats. He even said that he hoped Gi-jun would find his family and kill them because they had abandoned him and his brothers since they were young. At this moment, Gi-jun realized that Hui-chan also had a younger brother. Without saying another word, Gi-jun left the room. It was not until the door closed that Hui-chan felt a chill down his spine. Immediately after that, Gi-jun secretly followed Hui-chan's younger brother. Finally, the trail led Gi-jun to an internet cafe. However, this place was a trap that Hui-chan's group of friends had prepared. Gi-jun was surrounded. Even so, Gi-jun was not shaken. After glancing around, Gi-jun asked if they were all there. Then Gi-jun calmly revealed that, in fact, they were the ones surrounded by him. Immediately, the thugs burst out laughing as if they had just heard the funniest joke of the day. Even so, Gi-jun kept his voice calm. Gi-jun just wanted to know who was behind them. In response, the leader affirmed that the group acted on their own, without anyone directing them from behind. After listening, Gi-jun did not ask any more questions. Gi-jun coldly concluded that if that was the case, they could die right there. Immediately after, one of them rushed forward to attack, but was knocked down by Gi-jun's punch. Before another could react, Gi-jun had his chopsticks pierced through his mouth. The atmosphere became tense, as the thugs began to realize that they had angered the wrong person. Even though he had left the underworld a long time ago, Gi-jun's experience and fighting ability had not diminished. One of them had a whole bottle of water shoved down his throat, while another had his leg broken by Gi-jun. At this point, it was too late to regret. The leader was extremely frightened and immediately called on his comrades to charge forward. But as soon as he finished speaking, one of the group was punched out of the bar by Gi-jun. The scene made him panic to the point of losing control. In the end, the leader was forced to confess the truth. He admitted that there was someone behind the scenes directing the whole incident. Even so, Gi-jun still had no intention of forgiving. Gi-jun dealt with the leader on the spot. Hui-chan's younger brother was so scared that he hid under the table. After dealing with all the thugs, Gi-jun went to find him. In another development, on the night of the incident, Hui-chan's knife slash actually only caused Gi-seok to suffer superficial injuries. The other group was still not good enough to be his opponents. At that time, Gi-seok decided to spare their lives and let them all retreat safely. Gi-seok then slowly pulled the knife out of his stomach and left. However, just as he entered the elevator, the real killer appeared. At the same time, at Gi-seok's funeral, a mysterious man wearing glasses appeared and sought out Chairman Ju-woon. Recognizing this person, Chairman Ju-woon called him Yong-do, a character known for his extremely secretive identity. The two quickly left the funeral to talk privately. During the conversation, Yong-do took the initiative to ask if Chairman Ju-woon had any information related to Gi-seok's death. However, instead of answering, Chairman Ju-woon asked back whether Yong-do was the one who had something to hide. The conversation quickly fell into a stalemate, because no one knew if the other side really knew nothing or was deliberately withholding part of the truth. At the same time, the prosecution also began to pay attention to the case. Gi-seok's death took place right in the center of Seoul, just 5 months before the presidential election. This made the chief prosecutor suspect that there might be a major political conspiracy behind this incident. According to him, the Ju-woon group started out as a mafia organization. Thanks to the reform direction proposed by Gi-seok, the organization gradually transformed into an exhibition company, but in fact, it was still a money laundering tool for the underworld. As the brightest heir to the chairmanship, Gi-seok's sudden death raised too many questions. That made the chief prosecutor think of an event that happened 20 years ago. At that time, both the Ju-woon group and the Bongsan group were part of the Baeomyeodong gang. The organization once controlled the entire city of Seoul. However, right at the time of the succession process, the only son of the gang leader passed away mysteriously. That opportunity created the opportunity for Chairman Ju-woon and Chairman Gu of Bongsan to join forces to overthrow their superiors, thereby splitting into two forces as they are now. The chief prosecutor believed that the underworld might be about to enter a new period of turmoil. Then, he suddenly asked all his subordinates to leave the room, leaving only Gum-son. Although Jum-son tried very hard to be accepted into the prosecutor's office, he still could not avoid the cold gazes of his colleagues. Just because Jum-son was the son of Chairman Ju-woon, when he returned home, Jum-son was not respected. Even at the funeral of his father's subordinate's younger brother, he was blatantly bullied. With pent-up anger, Gum-son asked the chief prosecutor directly what he was really planning. Without beating around the bush, the chief prosecutor made it clear that he wanted to give Gum-son a chance to choose sides. If Gum-son can solve Gi-seok's case, he will secure a strong path for Gum-son to advance in the procuracy sector. At the same time, Gi-jun returned to the police station. Gi-jun played Hui-chan, a recording of his younger brother's voice. The boy was still alive, but Gi-jun warned that if Hui-chan did not tell the truth, his life would be in danger. In that situation, Hui-chan had to sit down and confess. Hui-chan said that there was a chat room called the cemetery that specializes in receiving money to hire exiles to carry out dirty tasks. In Gi-seok's case, a mysterious person paid a large sum of money for his group to take action. As for the real identity of the hirer, he had no idea and had no right to ask. Seeing that Gi-jun was still suspicious, Hui-chan said that you should meet my representative lawyer if you wanted to verify. The cemetery hired that lawyer for him. Not long after, the female lawyer appeared at the police station. She said that the entire statement had been prepared and Hui-chan only needed to sign. She also said that she would take care of all the remaining legal procedures. Hui-chan said nothing in response, but only raised his middle finger in contempt. But the lawyer just smiled confidently and left the room. Once in the car, she immediately called her superiors and reported that the mission was completed. She was certain that people like Hui-chan would obediently follow instructions once they were caught. Right after Hui-chan signed the confession and was transferred to the detention center, the hiring party would come in and deal with him to cover up the evidence. However, a surprise happened when a man quietly appeared in the car. The lawyer was surprised and asked who that person was. He only coldly replied that he was the victim's brother. Although she was a bit panicked, she remained calm. She reminded them that this was a police area and that she was a lawyer with full authority, so she was not easily intimidated. However, Gi-jun still did not say a word. With just his cold gaze, he made her tremble so much that she had to confess everything. The lawyer began to tell her about the cemetery organization. She said that it was a criminal intermediary company that operated like a food delivery app-like trading platform. The cemetery would be a place to connect criminals and people who would take the blame, but not everyone was willing to take the blame, so they targeted rebellious youth. Once they committed a serious crime, they would be exempted from military service and receive money. Therefore, more and more young people became the cemetery's lackeys. Among them was Hui-chan's group. The lawyer then said that her only job was to properly frame the person. This was all the lawyer knew. Finally, she told Gi-jun that if he wanted to find out more, he should go see director Song-won. Then Gi-jun went to the address on the business card. Gi-jun didn't say a word and went straight to the cemetery's office. It was now closing time for the company. A manager was curious and asked Gi-jun if he knew where this was. Gi-jun just said he was looking for Song-won. However, the employees wanted to cause trouble, so Gi-jun had to take action. After dealing with the employees, Gi-jun asked the receptionist to call Song-won. When he found out that it was Gi-jun on the other end of the line, Song-won's expression immediately changed. Song-won knew exactly why Gi-jun was here. Gi-jun said that he would wait at the company. Song-won immediately asked the driver to inform all the employees to retreat. However, the employees had not yet received the notice. One of them was spying and was about to attack Gi-jun. At that moment, the driver called. Thanks to that, Gi-jun discovered the employee. Gi-jun immediately attacked and knocked him down on the spot. Then the others rushed forward one by one. Gi-jun attacked and counterattacked. They were knocked down by him and could not fight back. By the time Song-won returned to the company, all of his employees were lying down. Song-won tried to force himself to greet Gi-jun. Song-won said that it had been a long time since they had seen each other and called Gi-jun his friend. Song-won also asked Gi-jun to forgive him because the employees did not know anything. However, Gi-jun did not want to listen to beating around the bush. Gi-jun said that he just wanted to know who had hired the cemetery to kill Gi-seok. Song-won immediately knelt down and apologized. Song-won affirmed that if he had known that the victim was Gi-seok, he would not have dared to act rashly. Moreover, he did not expect that the kids he sent could kill a master like Gi-seok. However, Gi-jun began to lose patience. Gi-jun said that he did not need an explanation. He just needed an answer to his question. Song-won continued to ask Gi-jun for understanding. Song-won said that in this profession, the most important thing is to keep your word. Song-won promised not to reveal the client's information. Furthermore, Song-won thought that the client was not someone that Gi-jun could touch. However, Gi-jun did not care and made it clear that whether or not to touch him was up to him. Immediately after that, the sound of fighting rang out. Song-won was now bruised and obedient. Song-won told that the person behind the incident was none other than Jun-mo, the son of Chairman Gu of Bongsan Group. Song-won then advised Gi-jun to think carefully because if he touched Jun-mo, it would be no different from declaring war on the entire Bongsan Group. However, Gi-jun did not care. Gi-jun immediately left the cemetery headquarters. He clenched his fist and headed straight towards Bongsan Group. At the same time, Chairman Ju-woon also received news that the person who hired the assassin to kill Gi-seok was Jun-mo. Chairman Ju-woon immediately asked Manager Choi to arrange a meeting with Chairman Gu in a private room. Private rooms are only used when the two sides have serious and difficult to resolve conflicts. There, Chairman Ju-woon reiterated the original agreement between him and Chairman Gu when the two of them overthrew their superiors and split the organization into two forces. As it is now, according to Chairman Ju-woon, anyone who offends the other side will have to pay a heavy price unless they offer something of equal value. However, Chairman Gu still did not fully understand what Chairman Ju-woon meant. At this time, Chairman Gu still did not know that the person who hired the assassin to kill Gi-seok was Jun-mo, his beloved son. Chairman Ju-woon firmly declared that even if the person involved was Chairman Gu's son, there would be no exceptions. Faced with such a tough attitude, Chairman Gu's expression began to change. He emphasized who was the one who made them set up that rule. According to him, if Gi-jun hadn't caused trouble 10 years ago, this secret room wouldn't have existed. Then, Chairman Gu affirmed that he wanted to break the rule. Chairman Gu declared that if Chairman Ju-woon or anyone else dared to touch Jun-mo, he wouldn't sit still. However, Chairman Ju-woon had no intention of declaring war. Instead, Chairman Ju-woon just wanted to remind Chairman Gu of one thing. According to Chairman Ju-woon, Gi-jun had destroyed the entire cemetery just to find the person who killed his younger brother. Could it be that Chairman Gu didn't understand the significance of that action? Just then, Gi-jun suddenly appeared, making both Chairman Ju-woon and Chairman Gu a bit confused. Gi-jun pulled a chair and sat down between the two of them, naturally pouring himself a drink of soju. Gi-jun then asked a straightforward question, whether the two had anything to do with Gi-seok's death. Both of them remained silent and did not dare to answer. At this time, Chairman Ju-woon spoke up to encourage Gi-jun. He said that since the incident was related to the Ju-woon group, he would handle it according to the rules. Immediately after that, Gi-jun turned to ask Chairman Gu if he intended to follow the rules. Chairman Gu promised that he would clear up the cemetery and deal with the group of young men who attacked Gi-seok. However, according to Gi-jun, that was not enough. Gi-jun said that he already knew who the real mastermind was. That information completely stunned Chairman Gu. Gi-jun declared that he did not need the two of them to bother to handle it for him. Just sit still and let him handle it himself. After saying that, Gi-jun coldly left the room. Neither Chairman Ju-woon nor Chairman Gu dared to speak up to stop him. As soon as Gi-jun left, Chairman Gu immediately turned to Chairman Ju-woon and begged him to help him handle the situation. Chairman Gu said that he could give up anything, including land or casinos. However, Chairman Ju-woon did not want to compromise. Chairman Ju-woon asked back if Chairman Gu really thought he could kill Gi-jun. Left with no choice, Chairman Gu turned to threats. He warned that if anything happened to Jun-mo, his relationship with Chairman Ju-woon would end. However, Chairman Ju-woon still stood up and left. In the end, Chairman Gu was forced to make a final decision. He promised to transfer the management of the D-Crow Hotel if Chairman Ju-woon would help. At this time, Chairman Ju-woon turned around. A moment later, Chairman Gu returned to the Bongsen Group headquarters and beat his son up. At first, Jun-mo did not understand why he was beaten, but as soon as his father asked if he was the one who hired someone to kill Gi-seok, he immediately understood the problem. Jun-mo did not hide it and frankly admitted it. However, he challenged his father, saying that so what, he only attacked the person who humiliated him. But Jun-mo did not anticipate the severity of what he had done. Chairman Gu angrily scolded him, saying that he was truly useless. Jun-mo felt disappointed that even his father saw him that way. He thought that if even his father looked down on him, then it was understandable that others would look down on him. According to Jun-mo, that was the reason why he had to try to prove his worth. Chairman Gu then affirmed that he did not need Jun-mo to prove anything. Jun-mo just needed to live and spend money. However, at the present time, even Jun-mo's survival had become a problem. Therefore, Chairman Gu advised Jun-mo to find a place to take refuge and let him handle everything. On the other side, Chairman Ju-woon, after returning home, decided to accept a compromise with Chairman Gu. However, Manager Choi was a man of integrity, so he could not accept Gi-seok's unjust death. Hearing this, Chairman Ju-woon was angry and questioned whether Manager Choi wanted to rebel. Then Chairman Ju-woon ordered Manager Choi to advise everyone to keep quiet and not to do anything further. Although Manager Choi was not satisfied, he still had to leave. The entire conversation was overheard by Gum-seon. Thanks to that, he got the first clue in the investigation of Gi-seok's death. Then, when he just stepped out, Manager Choi unexpectedly met Hae-beom. Hae-beom asked to meet Chairman Ju-woon for a moment. Knowing the purpose of Hae-beom's visit, Manager Choi advised him to go back because at this time, Chairman Ju-woon would not want to listen to anyone. However, Hae-beom was not convinced. Hae-beom thought that Manager Choi obeyed Chairman Ju-woon's orders only because he wanted to take over the position that Gi-seok left. Hearing that, Manager Choi got angry and immediately scolded Hae-beom and asked him to understand his position. Luckily, Gum-seon appeared and spoke up to stop him. In that situation, Manager Choi had no choice but to let Hae-beom leave. Manager Choi then turned to Gum-seon and told him that he did not need to get involved in matters related to the company. However, Gum-seon only gently asked Manager Choi what he thought he would get out of this. After saying that, Gum-seon smiled and left, leaving Manager Choi feeling confused. Meanwhile, Hae-beom went to see Gi-jun. He said that he had guessed that Gi-jun was planning revenge and he expressed his desire to join in. However, Gi-jun immediately refused because he thought it was too dangerous. Faced with that attitude, Hae-beom Baeom affirmed that he would rather die than live and become an unjust person. Gi-seok had helped him a lot, so he had to repay that favor. Finally, Gi-jun agreed and gave Baeom a chance. At this time, Gi-jun still did not know where Junmo was hiding. Therefore, Baeom went to the cemetery to hire someone to search for Junmo's whereabouts. Thanks to the network of activities spread throughout the city, the cemetery quickly determined Junmo's current location. As soon as the results were available, Baeom immediately informed Gi-jun that Junmo was staying at the Daecro Hotel. Gi-jun would handle the rest himself. In another development, Jung-seon continued to eavesdrop on her father's phone conversation. During the call, Chairman Ju-woon asked Young-do whether his decision this time was right or wrong. Young-do reminded Chairman Ju-woon that 10 years ago, it was because of Gi-jun that the boss was forced to give up his territory to Bongsun Group. But now Chairman Gu is the one who needs Chairman Ju-woon's help. According to Young-do, this is Chairman Ju-woon's chance to turn the tables. Young-do also expressed his belief that Chairman Ju-woon is capable of calculating this situation. At that time, Chairman Ju-woon also began to form a specific plan in his mind. Immediately after hearing the entire conversation, Gum-seon immediately prepared a search warrant for both groups, Ju-woon and Bongsun. At this time, Chairman Gu asked someone to kill Gi-jun. However, he refused to do it because this assassin knew clearly that Gi-jun was not an ordinary person. After saying that, he got out of the car and left. However, the assassin suddenly turned back to remind Chairman Gu that his suspicions about the kids that Junmo hired could not take down Gi-seok. After saying that, he turned away, leaving Chairman Gu to think. Immediately after that, he ordered his subordinates to contact police to understand the situation. At the same time, Chairman Gu requested that Junmo be taken to safety. Afterwards, Chun-seok was sent to find Junmo. At this time, Junmo was still partying at the Daecro Hotel. Chun-seok earnestly begged Junmo to return home to hide temporarily. However, Junmo did not feel afraid at all. Junmo declared that Gi-jun was nothing for him to worry about. Chun-seok patiently explained that even Junmo's father was afraid of Gi-jun. However, Chairman Gu's secretary was not so patient. According to Chairman Gu's instructions, if Junmo did not listen, the secretary would just beat him up until he woke up. Immediately after that, the secretary forcibly dragged Junmo away. At that moment, the bodyguards had already been defeated by Gi-jun. Seeing that, the remaining men tried to stop Gi-jun. One by one, they rushed forward, but Gi-jun only needed a cup to knock down his opponent. Then, he continuously punched the bodyguards. As soon as Gi-jun turned around, Chun-seok hugged him and begged. However, Junmo still maintained his arrogant attitude and raised his head in defiance, asking what Gi-jun could do to him. Immediately, Gi-jun threw Chun-seok away. Then Gi-jun punched Junmo straight in the stomach, causing him to vomit in pain. Next, Gi-jun grabbed Junmo's neck and lifted him off the ground. Only then did Junmo truly feel scared. The secretary took the opportunity to sneak attack Gi-jun. While urging Chun-seok quickly take Junmo away from the scene, the secretary would stay behind to block Gi-jun's way. The two sides began to fight right after that. The secretary felt excited because it was the first time he met a strong opponent. However, he kept kicking the air, completely unable to touch Gi-jun. Meanwhile, Gi-jun only needed to throw a punch to make him dizzy. The secretary still wanted to fight. He tried to kick Gi-jun but was not hurt. Just one punch to Gi-jun's chest made the secretary feel pain. Then Gi-jun finished with a precise punch that made him unconscious. Gi-jun continued to chase Junmo. At the same time, Junmo was put in the car and left. On the way, Chun-seok asked Junmo if he was afraid now. Junmo had not yet recovered when suddenly someone appeared in front of the car. That person was Baeom. Baeom wanted to help Gi-jun capture Junmo. However, Chun-seok drove too fast so Baeom could not catch up. Immediately after that, Chun-seok called to report to Chairman Gu that Junmo almost lost his life. Chairman Gu immediately showed great concern. He asked Chun-seok to quickly take Junmo to the safe house and tighten security in the area. Chun-seok followed Chairman Gu's instructions. When they arrived safely, Junmo realized that the safe house was just a deserted place. In another development, Manager Choi began to recall Gum-seon's strange behavior during their previous meeting. Manager Choi thought that Gum-seon must have known some secret related to Chairman Ju-woon. This made Manager Choi suspect that Gum-seon had secretly installed a listening device. He then sneaked into Gum-seon's private room to check. As expected, he discovered a recording system already installed. Manager Choi immediately went to find Gum-seon to question her. In response, Gum-seon just smiled. He thought that there was not much difference between prosecutors and gangsters. Both put the interests of the organization first. Gum-seon also said that no matter how Gi-seok died, the important thing was that his death had shaken the hearts of the people within the Ju-woon group. Manager Choi continued to wonder why Gum-seon was so interested in the Ji-won group, because he had never been valued by Manager Choi before. Gum-seon replied, "After all, he's still the eldest son of Chairman Ji-won." He thought that this was the best opportunity to overthrow the Bongsun group and bring the Ji-won group to the position of ruling the entire Seoul area. Returning to Junmo, as expected, he could not stand living in the shelter for too long. He began to feel frustrated and asked Chun-seok to tell him about Gi-jun's true identity. At this time, Junmo only knew that Gi-jun's leg tendons were cut by Junmo's biological father and forced to live in seclusion in the mountains. However, he did not know the legend of Gi-jun in the underworld. According to Chun-seok's story 20 years ago, in the eyes of the underworld gangs, Gi-jun was considered a legendary figure, even a living saint. At that time, the era was still under the rule of Chairman Oh. Without Gi-jun, there would be no Ji-won group or Bongsun group as it is today. Even the lives of Chairman Ji-won and Chairman Gu were saved by Gi-jun. During a transaction with the Busan gang, both Manager Choi and Chairman Gu fell into a trap and were arrested separately. When the two were cornered, Gi-jun suddenly appeared with a cold face and sharp eyes like a wild wolf. Gi-jun alone dealt with all the people in the Busan gang and successfully rescued both of them. They quickly realized that no matter who the opponent was or how many people there were, it did not matter to Gi-jun. This is the reason why everyone in the industry both respects and fears him. After that miraculous escape, Chairman Ji-won and Chairman Gu were also highly regarded by the leaders in the organization. At that time, Chairman Oh planned to choose one of the two as his successor. However, this decision made his biological son unhappy. Crown Prince Oh secretly hired a group of graveyard workers to assassinate both Chairman Ji-won and Chairman Gu. However, these two people quickly discovered the plot. They captured Sung-won, then used a knife to cut a line on his face to threaten him. Under that pressure, Sung-won was forced to hand over the recording as evidence. It recorded the content of the transaction when Crown Prince Oh hired an assassin to kill someone. Immediately after that, Chairman Gu decided to retaliate. He did not discuss with Manager Choi Ji-won, but hired an assassin to kill Crown Prince Oh. However, that unilateral action led to serious consequences. When everything was exposed, both of them were arrested by Chairman Oh for questioning. In that situation, Chairman Gu acted cowardly and immediately put all the responsibility on Chairman Ji-won. Fortunately, Chairman Ji-won had prepared in advance because he still held the strongest card in his hand. Gi-jun rushed into Chairman Oh's lair, alone to rescue Chairman Ji-won. Thanks to that, Chairman Ji-won and Chairman Gu regained control of the situation. After that, the two cooperated to overthrow Chairman Oh and divided the management area together. Later, they established two separate organizations, the Ji-won group and the Bongsun group. Since then, Chairman Ji-won and Chairman Gu set a rule that anyone who touched the other's people would have to pay a heavy price. According to Chun-seok, Gi-jun was the hero in that war. However, Gi-jun was also the first to break the rules when he touched Chairman Gu's partner. However, because Gi-jun's reputation was too great, they only cut his tendons. In the end, Chun-seok reminded Junmo not to offend Gi-jun. Junmo listened to it from beginning to end, nodded in approval, and said that it was a made-up story. However, Junmo still thought that whoever feared Gi-jun was afraid, but he was not. Chun-seok could only sigh helplessly. Meanwhile, Gi-jun returned to the cemetery company. At that moment, Sung-won was preparing to run away because he was stuck between the two sides. As soon as he saw Gi-jun, Sung-won immediately pretended that he had just returned from a business trip. He had absolutely no intention of running away. However, Gi-jun kept a cold face and asked Sung-won to find Junmo. Then Gi-jun returned to Hae-beom's house to apologize for letting Junmo escape. Gi-jun did not blame Hae-beom because Junmo ran too fast. At this moment, a friend of Gi-jun appeared. He had heard that Gi-seok was murdered and knew that the mastermind was Junmo. This friend did not want Gi-jun to confront the Bongsun group. Although he knew that Gi-jun could handle it himself, the situation was still dangerous. He hoped that Gi-jun could ask Chairman Ji-won for help because that way the chance of winning would be higher. However, Hae-beom said that although Chairman Ji-won knew the whole truth, he still ordered his subordinates not to act. That showed that Gi-jun should still handle it himself. Meanwhile, Junmo could not stand being locked up for too long, so he started to destroy the hideout. However, the bodyguards were strictly guarding him and did not let him escape. Chun-seok had to return to Seoul, so he told his bodyguards to ensure Junmo's absolute safety. On the way back, Chun-seok suddenly received a call from Junmo. Junmo asked if he would be free if Gi-jun died. Junmo revealed that he had contacted the Japanese thugs he had hired before, and they would be responsible for dealing with Gi-jun. Junmo asked Chun-seok to help him by luring Gi-jun into a trap. Chun-seok did not want to harm someone who had helped him many times. However, Junmo immediately threatened him with Chun-seok's daughter, forcing forcing him to choose between brotherhood and family. Looking at the photo of his daughter, Gi-seok finally decided to listen to Jun-mo. Gi-seok then made an appointment to meet Gi-jun. First, Gi-seok asked about Gi-jun's health. However, Gi-jun did not want to waste time, so he asked Gi-seok to get straight to the point. Gi-seok gave Gi-jun an address and said that it was where Jun-mo was hiding, and he affirmed that he wanted to help Gi-jun quickly end all the grudges. Gi-jun crushed the business card because he knew Gi-seok was trying to trick him. However, Gi-jun still decided to go to the designated location. With this action, Gi-jun officially severed his ties with Gi-seok. As soon as Gi-jun opened the door and entered, two Japanese gangsters rushed out with weapons in hand. Gi-jun quickly dodged and used a nearby mattress as a shield to defend himself. Then Gi-jun counterattacked with a strong punch that made both of them fall into a passive position. One of them was suffocated by Gi-jun's hood, while the other was punched until his vision blurred, so he swung his sword and slashed his comrade. In the chaos, Gi-jun dropped his sword. With no other choice, he had to temporarily use the sword that fell nearby. Gi-jun decisively attacked, not giving the opponent a chance to fight back. Immediately after that, Gi-jun picked up the phone of one of the two Japanese gangsters and called Jun-mo's number. At this time, Jun-mo was tensely waiting for the results and wondering if Gi-jun had been killed or not. However, Gi-jun calmly replied that he had killed everyone and now only Jun-mo was left. Hearing this, Jun-mo immediately panicked, his face pale. At this moment, a truth from 10 years ago was revealed. The reason why Gi-jun obediently let Chairman Gu handle it was not only because he followed the established rules, but also because Chairman Gu was holding a serious secret related to Gi-seok. Specifically, 20 years ago, it was Gi-seok who was assigned by Chairman Gu to assassinate Crown Prince Oh. At that time, Gi-seok had not yet been accepted by the gang, but because of a promise to Chairman Gu, Gi-seok committed that foolish act. The consequences of this eventually forced Gi-jun to bear the consequences. That evening, Chairman Gu made an appointment to meet Young-do. It was Young-do who had advised Chairman Ju-woon and Chairman Gu to set a rule. Of course, Young-do still remembered this clearly. According to Young-do, Jun-mo was the one who had broken the rule, so he must be dealt with for everything to return to peace. However, Chairman Gu did not mention the rule, but only emphasized the issue of living in harmony. Chairman Gu believed that if Jun-mo died, harmony would no longer have any meaning. Chairman Ju-woon understood that, so he promised to stay out of everything. The only problem now was Gi-jun. According to Chairman Gu, as long as Gi-jun was eliminated, everything would return to normal. Chairman Gu wanted to ask Young-do to think of a way to kill Gi-jun. He said that they should not be considered opponents because if they cannot use force, they must use tricks. Chairman Gu revealed that he had a plan and only needed Young-do to cooperate in carrying it out. After saying that, he immediately left. At this time, Young-do just curled his lips in disdain, thinking that both father and son were equally stupid. The next morning, Jun-mo's hideout suddenly had visitors. The bodyguards initially thought that they were just campers passing by. Unexpectedly, Jun-mo called his friends to the place. These people were all martial artists, including a huge man who was once a world champion. The two easily defeated the bodyguards and went inside to meet Jun-mo. The huge fighter was suspicious when he knew that Jun-mo had only invited him to deal with an unknown person like Gi-jun. However, Jun-mo explained that it might be so now, but 10 years ago, Gi-jun was considered a legend. Jun-mo then offered a price of 1 billion if these two fighters could kill Gi-jun. Both were extremely excited and wanted Jun-mo to see Gi-jun destroyed. At the same time, Gi-seok returned to the shelter, but only found the bodyguards beaten up. Jun-mo had disappeared. Gi-seok was extremely worried and immediately ordered the bodyguards to find Jun-mo, even if they had to turn the entire city of Seoul upside down. As soon as the bodyguards left, Gi-seok received a call from Jun-mo. He wanted Jun-mo to return. However, he would not return because he wanted to kill Gi-jun himself. Meanwhile, Gi-jun was at the hospital. He asked a senior to bandage his wound. In the past, no matter how badly injured Gi-jun was, he could still endure it. However, this time, the senior realized that Gi-jun was getting old. He understood that Gi-jun was harboring the intention of revenge, but he still advised Gi-jun that you should value yourself because life is short. After leaving the clinic, Gi-jun went to the hallway and sat in deep thought. Suddenly, Gi-jun received a call from his best friend. This person said that he would go to Chairman Ju-woon to ask for help in solving the case. However, Gi-jun had already predicted the result and hoped that his friend would not waste efforts. At that moment, a voice interrupted the conversation. Junmo went to Gi-jun's best friend's house. Gi-jun's friend immediately hung up. After that, Gi-jun's friend advised Junmo to go home if he did not want to die. However, Junmo appeared extremely confident and argued back. He said that he was not afraid. Gi-jun's friend realized that Junmo was more stupid than his father. Feeling seriously insulted, Junmo immediately became angry and used a baseball bat to beat Gi-jun's friend to death. At this moment, Gi-seok arrived and witnessed his senior's death. Gi-seok finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Junmo had killed the two brothers he respected the most. He immediately grabbed Junmo's neck and vented his anger. The hair tie fighter immediately threw Gi-seok aside. Junmo approached with a bat, claiming that Gi-seok had always looked down on him. Junmo said that this death was because of Gi-jun. The big guy saw that Junmo was losing control and stopped Junmo. But Junmo said that if he did something, he had to do it to the end. Then Junmo used Gi-jun's friend's phone to call Gi-jun. Junmo challenged Gi-jun to meet him to get revenge. Even though he knew his friend was dead, Gi-jun still tried to stay calm. However, everyone realized that Junmo had reached his limit. Gi-jun immediately hired someone to prepare his friend's funeral. Then, he set out to find Junmo. Meanwhile, Junmo returned to his hideout and hired a group of gangsters from all over. Junmo threw down the bag of money and set a condition that whoever captured Gi-jun would be rewarded but not killed. Junmo wanted to do it himself. The group excitedly accepted the order without knowing that they were about to face death. On this side, Gi-jun appeared in front of Junmo's hideout. Gi-jun also brought an iron rod. The big guy showed disdain, thinking that Junmo had spent too much money just to take down a cripple. However, he still silently watched. As soon as Gi-jun entered the hallway, it was filled with arrogant people. Everyone wanted to get the reward. Gi-jun calmly warned those who were afraid to leave. Immediately after, a guy rushed forward to try his hand, but was immediately defeated with just one stick. The others rushed forward one after another. Although there were many of them, they were like mosquitoes biting steel. When the hair tie fighter held Gi-jun tight, the rest immediately rushed in. Gi-jun immediately counterattacked and crushed the head of the approaching fighter. Then, Gi-jun used a stick to hit the fighter, causing him pain. As soon as Gi-jun pressed the fighter's head against the wall, the others began to panic. They wanted to fight back, but were still knocked down one by Gi-jun. Looking through the camera, Junmo also felt scared. Junmo trembled and asked the security team not to keep Gi-jun alive anymore, but to switch to killing him. However, the security guards were also taken down one by one. Gi-jun switched to using a knife to stab each person's neck quickly and accurately. One by one, bodies fell down. Gi-jun passed the second level. Only the champion fighter remained. He now realized the seriousness of the situation, so he asked Junmo to double his salary. Junmo was forced to agree to let him confront Gi-jun. At this time, Gi-jun limped into the hall. Meanwhile, Junmo stood on the stairs, no longer as confident as before. At this time, his face was still expressionless. Gi-jun approached and repeated the initial warning that whoever was afraid should retreat, but the champion still attacked. He gently threw Gi-jun down the stairs. The confrontation began. The big guy was overwhelming, constantly pressing, causing Gi-jun to only be able to defend. Finally, he slammed Gi-jun onto the glass table, causing it to shatter. At this moment, Junmo breathed a sigh of relief. He loudly provoked, saying that he was the one who killed Gi-jun's younger brother, and asked what you could do to me. That sentence made Gi-jun explode. Gi-jun immediately picked up a piece of broken glass and stabbed him straight in the eye. He thought Gi-jun was playing dirty, but this was a life and death battle. There was no room for fairness. The situation immediately turned around. His eyes were blinded, so he missed his attacks continuously and was hit by a series of counterattacks. Finally, Gi-jun launched a finishing blow that knocked him down. Then Gi-jun picked up the iron rod and slowly walked towards Junmo. Facing danger, Junmo panicked and pulled out his gun, but missed. Gi-jun smashed the gun and broke Junmo's arm and leg. Junmo begged for his life and said that even if he was killed, Gi-seok could not be revived. But the more Gi-jun listened, the angrier he got. As soon as Junmo finished speaking, he was knocked off the floor by Gi-jun. Gi-jun's revenge ended here. Elsewhere, Chairman Gu ordered the arrest of the police officer who had investigated Gi-seok's case. Chairman Gu was suspicious because with Gi-seok's rank, there was no way he would be on night patrol. In addition, no one reported the case at the time the body was discovered. Chairman Gu thought that the police already knew everything. He sent someone to interrogate police. After a beating, the police revealed everything and showed him the recording of the conversation with the real mastermind. Hearing the voice in the recording, Chairman Gu immediately recognized who it was. Chairman Gu called Junmo, but no one answered. At this time, he began to feel uneasy. After a while, Chairman Gu's phone rang, but the caller was not Junmo, but Gi-jun. Gi-jun informed that he had dealt with Junmo according to the rules. Chairman Gu wanted to tell the truth, but it was too late. He fell into despair. Then Gi-jun left the shelter. On the way, Gi-jun remembered Gi-seok. In his imagination, conversation, Gi-seok smiled and said that they would meet again somewhere else. For the first time, he revealed his state of grief after living like a machine for so many years. At that moment, a car appeared blocking the road. Because he did not react in time, Gi-jun was hit and thrown into the river. The assassin got out and called the boss to report that he had dealt with Gi-jun. The assassin, who had just assassinated Gi-jun, was also the one who had killed Gi-seok. On the night of the murder, after sparing the kids, Gi-seok discovered a man hiding in the elevator. Gi-seok avoided the first stab, but the assassin was very professional, and he continuously attacked Gi-seok's vital areas. One stab went through his hand. Gi-seok used his tie to stop the bleeding and continued to fight. Because he had been injured before, he was finally stabbed in the neck. Before collapsing, Gi-seok managed to remove the mask of his opponent, but he did not have time to leave a word. When the police arrived, they only found Gi-seok's body. He immediately called his teammates to clean up the scene. The next morning, the rescue team recovered Gi-jun's car from the river, but they did not find the body. In fact, Gi-jun had drifted to the shore nearby, and the person who discovered him was Hae-beom. Hae-beom immediately contacted the doctor to prepare for emergency treatment for Gi-jun. At the same time, Chairman Ju-woon also received news that Gi-jun had fallen into the river right after finishing Junmo's case. Chairman Ju-woon suspected that everything was too coincidental, but before Chairman Ju-woon could ask anything, he received a call from Chairman Gu. He asked for an urgent meeting. At the construction site, Chairman Ju-woon expressed his condolences for Junmo's death. Chairman Ju-woon questioned whether Chairman Gu had killed Gi-jun for revenge. Chairman Gu affirmed that if he had done it, Gi-jun would not have died so easily. Chairman Gu wanted to confirm one thing. During the investigation, he discovered that the policeman had received money from an account belonging to Ju-woon Group, which was used to stage the case of framing Gi-seok. Chairman Ju-woon looked surprised, but Chairman Gu made a questionable argument that Chairman Ju-woon himself might have been behind the whole incident. According to Chairman Gu's speculation, Chairman Ju-woon did not want Gi-seok to inherit the business, so he hired someone to kill Gi-seok and then blame Junmo. After that, Gi-jun will be used as a tool to take revenge and kill Junmo instead of Chairman Ju-woon. When everything is over, Gi-jun will also be dealt with to cover up the clues. Bongsen Group will fall into the hands of Chairman Ju-woon, and the chosen heir will be none other than Gum-son, Ju-woon's biological son. Chairman Ju-woon just laughed after hearing this, thinking that Chairman Gu was imagining things. But Chairman Gu didn't care about the reason. To him, whether the hypothesis was right or wrong, at this point, one of the two had to disappear. That was a clear declaration of war. Chairman Ju-woon quickly returned to convene the senior leadership. Although there were opinions that conflicts could not be resolved by force in this day and age, they could not stand idly by. Chairman Ju-woon decided to find a way to preserve his power, even if he had to confront them. Then he went to see Young-do. He said that he felt used. Previously, Young-do had claimed that if Chairman Ju-woon listened to him, the whole situation would be in Chairman Ju-woon's hands. But now, it was clear that he had no choice but to directly declare war on Bongsen Group. Chairman Ju-woon also mentioned the bribe money flowing from Ju-woon Group's account. Besides Chairman Ju-woon, only Young-do had access to it. However, Young-do reminded Chairman Ju-woon not to forget that there was another person, Gum-son. Chairman Ju-woon immediately denied that his son was involved, but Young-do just smiled and said that old people often only believe what they want to believe. Young-do hoped that this belief would not cause Chairman Ju-woon to collapse. On Bongsun Group's side, the senior leaders had just been summoned when suddenly the prosecutors burst in. They brought a search warrant and arrested the entire leadership. Only Chairman Gu managed to escape the siege in time. However, the whole thing was part of Gum-son's plan. The chief prosecutor believes that Jum-son deliberately released Chairman Gu. However, Jum-son asserts that once he chooses the prosecution's side, even his biological father cannot be spared. Jum-son says that this is just the first step in a larger plan. The goal is to catch the ringleader. Jum-son then presents the next plan to the chief prosecutor, which includes a proposal to search the entire Ju-woon Group. In other developments, Gi-jun has recovered. He immediately changes his clothes and quietly escapes from the hospital. Next, he goes to Hae-beom to get back some belongings. Hae-beom gives Gi-seok's car keys to Gi-jun and says that he changed the license plate to avoid being tracked. Gi-jun thanks him and leaves. He then goes to the cemetery company to meet Sung-won. At that time, Sung-won and his colleagues were celebrating because they thought that both Junmo and Gi-jun were dead. When Gi-jun suddenly appeared without making a sound, Gi-jun walked in and sat down next to Sung-won, asking Sung-won to tell him who killed him. Sung-won was stunned and said that if Gi-jun didn't even know who assassinated him, who would know? However, Gi-jun didn't come to ask for help but asked Sung-won to investigate who was behind the assassination if he wanted to live. Sung-won didn't dare refuse Gi-jun's request. Before leaving, everything, Gi-jun still had one thing to do, which was to burn incense for his two deceased friends. At this time, someone felt sorry for. He thought that if they had lived cowardly like him, they probably wouldn't have met with this problem. That night, Jung-seon returned home and found her father in her room with the audio file. Chairman Ju-woon immediately questioned Jung-seon. Jung-seon just smiled and turned away. Chairman Ju-woon asked his son to answer clearly. However, Jung-seon said that he was just doing his duty and that what he did would not change anything while his father was still here. Chairman Ju-woon understood that Jung-seon was ambitious, but at the same time, he also knew that Jung-seon did not have the courage to betray his father. Therefore, Chairman Ju-woon was satisfied and left the room. Then Jung-seon checked his headphones and found that the wiretap had become a music tape. At this moment, Ju-woon Group officially declared war and organized an attack on Bongsen Group. Before that, Chairman Ju-woon had always maintained a peaceful attitude towards both sides. However, that very way of doing things had caused him to lose his strongest card, Gi-jun. At this time, Chairman Ju-woon realized his mistake. His failure to act in time had led to the current situation. Therefore, he decided to fight one last time, or else he would have no more chances. The confrontation between Chairman Ju-woon and Chairman Gu was now forced to come to an end. Only one person could survive. Meanwhile, his subordinates advised Chairman Gu to retreat first, so that they could stay behind to perform the task of obstructing. Chairman Gu did not want to run away. He wanted to fight with a stick until the last minute. At this time, Chairman Ju-woon was also present at the scene. However, Chairman Gu was quickly beaten until he was dizzy. Manager Choi wanted to rush over to deal with him, but Chairman Ju-woon asked everyone to leave so that he could deal with Chairman Gu himself. Chairman Ju-woon apologized and explained that between his brothers and his family, he had to choose to protect his son. Chairman Ju-woon emphasized that Chairman Gu had made the same choice before. Then, Chairman Ju-woon sent Chairman Gu off on his final journey with his own pipe. After dealing with him, Chairman Ju-woon got in his car and left the scene. However, everything was part of Young-do's plan. He was the one who arranged everything from the beginning. Chairman Ju-woon was just a pawn that was used. Young-do's ultimate target was Chairman Ju-woon. Not long after, the cemetery team hired by Ju-woon Group came to clean up the scene. Gi-jun also went with Song-won. Song-won realized that something was wrong. According to him, the Chairman Ju-woon that Song-won knew would not act this way. Gi-jun understood better, because Chairman Ju-woon had something to protect. More important than his friendship with Chairman Gu, Gi-jun then made an appointment to meet Chairman Ju-woon. Chairman Ju-woon was happy to see that Gi-jun was still alive. However, Gi-jun coldly asked him if you was the one who hired someone to kill me. Chairman Ju-woon was immediately stunned and explained that he himself was just a pawn. Then Chairman Ju-woon mentioned someone that Gi-jun didn't know. The person everyone called Young-do, the mysterious strategist behind Chairman Oh. Apart from those closest to Chairman Oh, no one knew about Young-do's existence. He used to be a policeman and helped Chairman Ju-woon collect a lot of inside information. Young-do also had information from the police and the gang. In other words, he was the one who controlled the entire chessboard. Young-do's ambition grew so much that even Chairman Oh couldn't control him. 20 years ago, Young-do was the one who pulled the strings and made Gi-seok kill Crown Prince Oh. Chairman Ju-woon also kept a recording of the conversation between Young-do and Gi-seok as evidence. After Chairman Oh died, Young-do stood in the middle, controlling both Chairman Ju-woon and Chairman Gu, with the aim of gaining the most profit. Gi-jun became a thorn in Young-do's side because he was respected by the people in the gang. That's why 10 years ago, Young-do planned to harm Gi-jun. Everything has become clear. Gi-jun decided to meet Young-do to settle the score. Chairman Ju-woon felt guilty towards Gi-jun, so he agreed to help Gi-jun. The whole plan was secretly observed by Manager Choi. That night, Chairman Ju-woon called to meet Young-do. Young-do felt strange because the appointment was set at such a late hour, but he still went to the meeting place. Chairman Ju-woon had prepared a surprise for him. The person who appeared at the meeting place was Gi-jun. Young-do was surprised because he thought Gi-jun was dead. Gi-jun didn't say anything but immediately went to strangle Young-do. Suddenly, another person appeared and pushed Gi-jun back. That was Gi-jun's old enemy who used to be Chairman Oh's bodyguard. It was Gi-jun who had cut off his right hand years ago. Gi-jun felt confused, wondering when he had grown his hand back. Meanwhile, Young-do took the opportunity to escape, leaving Gi-jun and his old enemy to confront each other. Young-do almost lost his life, but he still smiled contemptuously. Gi-jun and his enemy had only exchanged a few moves when the alarm went off, causing the patrolling police to arrive. The enemy was forced to retreat and made an appointment for Gi-jun to fight again later. He revealed that he was an executed prisoner who was helped by Young-do to escape from prison. Gi-jun then called Song-won and asked him to find Young-do. Gi-jun promised that this would be the last time. From now on, Gi-jun would not involve him again. Song-won both respected hated and feared Gi-jun, but he still did not dare to accept because Young-do had a police identity. However, Song-won also said that if Gi-jun wanted Young-do to find him, he could go to the police station. As expected, Young-do escaped to the police station. Young-do called Chairman Ju-woon and blamed him. Young-do asked to meet Chairman Ju-woon to talk. Chairman Ju-woon immediately felt worried and quickly called a board meeting. However, Chairman Ju-woon did not expect Gum-son to ask to attend the meeting in his place. Chairman Ju-woon did not understand what his son was planning to do. Gum-son frankly said that from the first time he met Young-do, he had decided to replace his father's position. Chairman Ju-woon was angry and thought that his son was being taken advantage of by Young-do. Chairman Ju-woon said that the chair was a nightmare every day and he did not want his son to live a life like his. However, Gum-son replied that you had never asked me if I wanted to. Gum-son always wanted to prove that he could do what his father did, but his father never gave him the opportunity, so he had to create his own opportunity. At this time, Manager Choi reminded Gum-son that it was time to leave. Only then did Chairman Ju-woon realize that Manager Choi had also betrayed him. At this time, Chairman Ju-woon had become a lonely old man. He sat and thought for a long time before finally deciding to take out his secret weapon. On the other side, Gum-son had come to the board meeting. His appearance made the shareholders feel confused. Gum-son announced that from now on he would replace his father's position, and he hoped that everyone could support him. One person immediately stood up to protest. They thought that the Ju-woon group today was the result of Chairman Ju-woon. A person who was spoiled since childhood like Gum-son could not be a leader. Gum-son declared that anyone who objected could leave. One brave person stepped out first, followed by many others who stood up at the same time. However, a loud scream outside the door made everyone stop. Gum-son affirmed that he was not like his father and would not be a weak person. Even though everyone here is a senior, if they don't follow him, they will only have death. He also made it clear that he doesn't mind getting his hands dirty, because in this profession, no one can keep their hands clean. Immediately after that, the entire board of directors sat down. No one dared to react further. Gum-son seemed very satisfied. At the same time, Gi-jun received information that Young-do's car had left the police station. Someone asked Gi-jun how far he planned to go. Gi-jun affirmed that he would end everything right now. Then he went to the designated location. However, the driver was not Young-do, but Gi-jun's old enemy. The two sides immediately rushed to settle their grievances. The enemy didn't play any tricks either. He lent Gi-jun a knife to have a fair fight. However, he was still one level behind Gi-jun in terms of knife skills. Gi-jun marked wounds all over his opponent's body and then pinned his hand to the car window. It turned out that Gi-jun's enemy was wearing a prosthetic hand. 10 years ago, losing his arm was a great humiliation to him. According to him, Gi-jun should have killed him at that time. The enemy tightened the grip on Gi-jun. Gi-jun tried to reach for the knife on the ground and stabbed him in the stomach. However, Gi-jun once again wanted to spare his life. This time, the enemy did not accept further humiliation. He held Gi-jun's hand and pushed the knife deeper into his stomach. He reminded Gi-jun that if he wanted to end everything, the only way was death. If he did not die, then Gi-jun would be the one to die. Finally, he advised Gi-jun to quickly find Young-do before things became irreparable. At this time, Young-do had arrived at Chairman Ju-woon's house. According to the plan, he would have let Chairman Ju-woon die later. However, because of Gi-jun's appearance, Young-do was forced to speed up the process. Young-do promised to take care of Gum-son for him. However, Young-do's biggest mistake was dragging Gum-son into this incident. Chairman Ju-woon immediately pulled out a gun, pointed it at Young-do, and asked him to stand still. Young-do was forced to put down the knife. At that moment, Chairman Ju-woon caught. Young-do took the opportunity to rush forward and grab the gun. While the two sides were struggling, the gun suddenly went off. The bullet only grazed Young-do. Immediately after that, Young-do knocked the gun out of Chairman Ju-woon's hand. Chairman Ju-woon immediately grabbed a nearby knife and pointed it at Young-do. However, Young-do quickly took the gun back and shot Chairman Ju-woon, killing him. When Gi-jun arrived, Chairman Ju-woon was already sitting motionless on the chair. At that moment, the police rushed in and arrested Gi-jun on charges of assassinating Chairman Ju-woon. A policeman put a gun in Gi-jun's hand. It seemed that this time Gi-jun would have a hard time escaping the charges. Young-do, who had changed into a police uniform, entered and teased Gi-jun that they met again. Gi-jun was then taken back to the police station. In the interrogation room, Young-do thanked Gi-jun because without Gi-jun, his plan would not have succeeded. Gi-jun only wondered if Young-do was the one who killed Gi-seok. Young-do revealed that there was another person behind him, and that person was the real culprit. However, Gi-jun would never have the chance to meet that person because his death had been arranged by Young-do. Immediately after, a police team was sent to escort Gi-jun. All of them were Young-do's men. The car turned to another road and entered the tunnel. A group of workers blocked the road, making sure no outsiders approached. Gi-jun remained very calm. He only asked the police one question. Was that all they had? Then he struck swiftly, causing the entire group to fall into chaos. They pulled out their guns and shot randomly, even accidentally shooting their teammates. One of them was kicked out of the car. The car lost control and flipped over. In the end, only Gi-jun and a policeman survived. But this guy had a gun, and Gi-jun was handcuffed. Suddenly, the policeman was knocked away by a truck. The person who saved Gi-jun was Sung-won. Although he didn't show it on his face, he still showed that he was a loyal person. It turned out that Young-do had hired someone to clean up the scene and kill Gi-jun. Luckily, Sung-won didn't arrive too late. Gi-jun wondered why Sung-won saved him. Sung-won didn't answer, as if he was afraid to say that he only respected Gi-jun. After that, Sung-won gave Gi-jun all the information he had investigated about Young-do. Sung-won said that after this incident, he would leave the country, and at the same time, he hoped that Gi-jun could quickly end everything. Sung-won helps Gi-jun with one last thing, which is to inform Young-do that Gi-jun is dead in order to make him let down his guard. Meanwhile, thanks to the listening device, Gum-sun discovers that the person who killed her father is not Gi-jun, but Young-do. At the same time, Gum-sun also realizes Young-do's true face. Young-do just wants to use Gum-sun to serve his own scheme. Manager Choi wants to take action to eliminate Young-do, but this is not the right time, because Young-do is still holding confidential documents of the Gi-won group. However, Gum-sun is not a simple person. Gum-sun has secretly prepared a counterattack plan. At this time, his role as a prosecutor officially comes into play. Gum-sun requests a search warrant for Young-do's office. When he receives the news, Young-do is extremely panicked. Young-do immediately calls Gum-sun to ask why he stabbed me in the back. Gum-sun replied that they were both just using each other. Young-do tried to explain. However, Gum-sun insisted that that was Young-do's true nature. He always created misunderstandings so that others could fight each other. He sat back and benefited. When Young-do suggested meeting to talk, Gum-sun coldly refused and said that there would be no next time. Young-do angrily planned to call an assassin to kill Gum-sun, but no one answered. Young-do did not expect that the assassin had been bribed by Gum-sun in advance. Gum-sun had thoroughly investigated the background of this person, who was originally from Japan and Korea. Currently, the assassin was wanted by Interpol, so he was forced to cling to Young-do to escape punishment. However, Young-do only made empty promises and did not fulfill them. Meanwhile, Gum-sun could use his status as a prosecutor as a guarantee. The assassin was suspicious and asked why Gum-sun was helping him. Gum-sun replied that I needed you to kill a few people. On the other hand, Young-do still has one last trick up his sleeve. Young-do secretly recorded the entire conversation between him and Gum-sun. However, the entire plan that seemed to be arranged by Young-do was actually thought up by Gum-sun. Gum-sun's ambition is not only to control Gi-won group but also to dominate the entire city of Seoul, like the time of Chairman Oh. After that, Gum-sun returned to the prosecutor's office to check. In addition to the confidential documents of Gi-won group, Gum-sun discovered a surprising detail. Among the documents collected from Young-do's office, Gum-sun discovered an illegal gun. After that, Gum-sun went to the church to attend her father's funeral. At the same time, Sung-won was present at the port to prepare to escape abroad. However, he told his secretary that he did so to deceive everyone. He wanted to stay to witness who would survive to the end. Meanwhile, the secretary asked for permission to go to the bathroom. Sung-won was annoyed because he thought it was not the right time. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. When he opened the door to check, he found that it was a woman with an axe attacking. This person also had an accomplice. Sung-won immediately pulled out a knife hidden in his belt and killed their accomplice. Then he continued to struggle with the stranger. The fight left him quite seriously injured, but in the end, he still killed the attacker. Immediately after that, he remembered the suitcase of money and tried to bring it with him to find the secretary. When they met again, the secretary pretended to care and suddenly stabbed him fatally. He was the traitor who caused Sung-won to die in resentment. The secretary took the suitcase of money and informed manager Choi that Sung-won had been dealt with. Now the only remaining target was Young-do. Manager Choi sent an assassin. However, the person who wanted to kill Young-do was not only Gum-sun. At the same time, Gi-jun was also present at the place where Young-do was hiding. As soon as he saw the two assassins, Gi-jun immediately took action and took them both down. He quickly realized that there were many assassins lurking in the area. He would deal with anyone he encountered without hesitation. However, Gum-sun's assassin was Gi-jun's real opponent. After a while of fighting, the assassin admitted that he was the one who killed Gi-seok. He used the same technique to try to kill Gi-jun. The assassin stabbed a knife into Gi-jun's hand. However, Gi-jun was not like Gi-seok. Gi-jun used the blade of the knife as a fixed point to hold him down, then repeatedly punched him in the face. The assassin was forced to drop the knife. Gi-jun seized the opportunity. Gi-jun used the knife to cut the assassin's throat in the same way he had killed Gi-seok. Gi-jun then kicked him once more before leaving. Gi-jun then limped towards where Young-do was hiding. Young-do was extremely scared, but he still appeared confident because he had a gun in his hand. When Gi-jun opened the door and entered, Young-do immediately fired a warning shot. Young-do said that it was all Gum-seon's plan. Young-do confirmed that there was a recording as evidence. Young-do asked Gi-jun to cooperate to overthrow Gum-seon and replace Ju-woon as chairman. However, Gi-jun refused and said that he only needed an apology. Young-do did not agree. Young-do fired another shot at Gi-jun and sarcastically said that he was dreaming. In response, Gi-jun threw the stack of papers on the table at Young-do's face. While Young-do was out of sight, Gi-jun immediately rushed over and pushed him down. At this time, Young-do lost his gun. He immediately grabbed the knife hidden under the chair. However, Gi-jun quickly snatched the knife. Then Gi-jun cut off 5 of Young-do's fingers. Gi-jun then continued to cut Young-do's tendons so that he could feel the pain that Gi-jun had endured. Gi-jun then asked Young-do if he wanted to live. However, before Young-do could answer, Gi-jun stabbed through the throat and finished him off on the spot. Gi-jun then attended Chairman Ju-woon's funeral. Gum-seon agreed to let Gi-jun perform the farewell ceremony. Looking at Gi-jun's appearance, Gum-seon understood that Gi-jun had eliminated all the assassins, including Young-do. However, Gi-jun kept a cold face and said that Gum-seon would be the last one. Gi-jun then asked why Gum-seon did that. Gum-seon admitted that he was jealous of Gi-jun because the position he had always wanted was given to someone like Gi-jun by his father. Gi-jun then patted Gum-seon's shoulder and said that after Chairman Ju-woon was buried, they would all be buried together without having to fight over it anymore. When he was alive, he fought, but when he died, it all turned into nothingness. After leaving the funeral, Gi-jun visited Gi-seok's grave for the last time because he knew that the two were about to reunite. At the same time, Gi-jun handed over all the evidence to Hae-beom so that he could reveal Gum-seon's true face. Right after Chairman Ju-woon's funeral, Gum-seon immediately carried out the merger ceremony between Ju-woon Group and Bongsan Group. This was approved by the city's mayor because Gum-seon had promised him many benefits. At that moment, a news report appeared, reporting that Gum-seon was the mastermind of the murder, along with a recording. All the guests at the ceremony immediately left, everyone trying to erase their connection with Gum-seon. The chief prosecutor told Gum-seon that this time he had completely collapsed. However, Gum-seon still thought that he still had a chance to turn things around. Hearing this, the chief prosecutor scolded him for being stupid and stubborn. In a fit of anger, Gum-seon beat the chief prosecutor to death. Gum-seon lost control at this point. Manager Choi had to intervene and advised Gum-seon to leave, as the police would soon arrive. Gum-seon was finally forced to leave the ceremony. Just then, Gi-jun appeared in the hall. Still with a cold demeanor, Gi-jun asked the bodyguards if they wanted to make way or let him enter. The bodyguards were about to rush forward when Manager Choi intervened and asked them to make way. He took the initiative to open the way for Gi-jun to enter. Manager Choi then asked Gi-jun if things couldn't stop here. However, Gi-jun remained steadfast and said that if he was going, he had to go all the way. With no other choice, Manager Choi had to confront Gi-jun because it was his duty. The two were former colleagues. Out of loyalty, Gi-jun let Manager Choi stab him first. However, Manager Choi was still no match for Gi-jun. After being defeated, Manager Choi said he hoped Gi-jun would go all the way. Gi-jun nodded to say goodbye to him. Next, Gi-jun entered Chairman Ju-woon's office. At this time, Gum-seon had officially taken over that position. However, he began to feel that this chair was actually no different from an ordinary chair. What troubled Gum-seon was that it had caused many people to shed blood. Gi-jun told Gum-seon that only when he gained admiration and respect from others would this position have real value. Otherwise, it would just be a burden. He affirmed that it was time to end everything. Gum-seon had a gun, and Gi-jun had a knife. Although he was the one who fired first and took the initiative, Gum-seon did not want to kill Gi-jun. Instead, he decided to take his own life. However, Gi-jun immediately cut off Gum-seon's hand because he did not allow Gum-seon to die so easily. Gi-jun forced Gum-seon to apologize. Only after hearing that apology did Gi-jun take action. Finally, Gi-jun left slowly. However, no one could stop his steps. In the following days, Gi-jun continued to live in seclusion in the mountains. No one saw him again, and over time, the legend of Gi-jun was gradually forgotten. The movie ends here. Thank you everyone for watching the whole movie. Goodbye, and see you again.